Thank you. The member for Oxley.
My question is directed to the Minister for Corrections. How is the government targeting re-offenders and what impact will that have on community safety?
Minister for Corrections.
Better education.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you to the member for Oxley for her genuine interest in recidivism and re-offending. Madam Speaker, the New South Wales Government is committed to reduce adult re-offending by 5%, and the Premier has made it a personal priority to reduce domestic violence. We have recently announced $237 million of investment as a new plan to tackle the rate of reoffending here in New South Wales. This focuses on high-risk offenders and persistent domestic violence offenders who are responsible for the disproportionate amount of violence and crime. We will get prisoners and parolees into more programs, involve staff, improve staff training and, of course, target persistent domestic violence offenders. With this investment, Madam Speaker, we can make a real and lasting difference to the people of New South Wales. Madam Speaker, this will mean reducing those that are re-offending and the number of victims, helping to keep our community safe. As a Minister, it gives me no joy to visit correctional centres across the state, knowing that almost half of those that are incarcerated will re-offend and return to jail within 2 years. This is unacceptable to the government, and we cannot turn a blind eye to those who are offending. This funding seeks to punish offenders for their crime while simultaneously intervening to rehabilitate them and put them back on the right track. This government's $237 million strategy against reoffending will expand participation in violence, addiction and sex offender programs for prisoners and parolees in the community. It will introduce one-on-one case management and intervention for priority domestic violence offenders after they are charged but before they are sentenced. Madam Speaker, this money will also improve the training for our staff. Inmates serving sentences of 6 months or less for any crime will, for the first time, have access to rehabilitation programs. These inmates do not currently participate in the programs to address their behaviour. An additional 345 psychologists, community corrections officers and other skilled staff will be employed by corrective services as part of the record spend on rehabilitation. Current staff will receive more training. 10 high-intensity program units will be established to deliver rehabilitation programs to about 1,200 prisoners each year serving sentences shorter than 6 months. Madam Speaker, high-risk offenders will be subject to increased supervision at all stages of their sentence. Currently, large numbers of high-risk offenders may not participate in reoffending programs until they are in prison because there is little intervention available in the community. Madam Speaker, targeting this group earlier and at all points of their contact with the justice system will have the greatest impact on reoffending and improving community safety. There is also funding to improve exit planning and reintegration support, such as housing and employment for offenders leaving prison on parole. Madam Speaker, this government takes a holistic approach to corrections and seeks to just get on with the job. It would be reckless for the government not to invest in infrastructure to increase the New South Wales prison capacity and relieve the current bed pressure. But we don't also want to see inmates return to prison. We want them rehabilitated, we want them literate, we want them ready to contribute to society on their release to the community. This is why we've invested $3.8 billion in infrastructure to provide immediate and ongoing relief to the current bed pressure. This is why we're recommissioning Berrima Jail. This is why, since the beginning of this year, we have added new beds to the Metropolitan Special Program Centre, Long Bay Correctional Complex, the Metropolitan Remand and Reception Centre, Dilwinia, Silverwater, Glen Innes and Carry-On Correctional Centres. At Cessnock Correctional Centre, an extra 1,000 beds will be built, creating up to 450 jobs during construction and 430 permanent jobs when complete. Madam Speaker, the Junee Correctional Centre will be expanded to house an additional 480 inmates and adding 130 jobs to the local economy. In the longer term, the construction of the new Grafton Correctional Centre will provide 2,350 beds and hundreds of jobs to the region during the construction. Madam Speaker, there is no silver bullet for reoffending, but a $237 million reoffending strategy targeting persistent offenders at all points of their contact with the justice system will have the greatest impact on reoffending and increasing community safety.